Season 2 will explain everything that is or is not canon. That's not hype. That's the mission statement we're testing across 10 changes. We'll show how character growth, agency power plays, and a reality-hopping device mark out the borders of the new map. You'll see how the ensemble's arc sets cultural tone, how governance tightens, and how those rules echo into the next feature. By the end, the continuity will feel less like guesswork and more like a plan you can track. Welcome back to Heroscope.
Let's go kill a cow.
He started as a walking bit, shiny helmet, crude one-liners, and a creed so blunt it read like parody. Kill for peace, laugh, wince, move on. That was the surface, but the finale didn't play along. He blew open secrets that scorched his own unit, turning a joke into the guy who pulls the fire alarm and accepts the fallout. Why does the clown carry the conscience? Track the lineage. In Charlton days, Christopher Smith was a pacifist extremist, diplomat by title, deterrence by firepower. Then the 80s DC revamp hardened him into a haunted vigilante, a man who believed the mission more than himself. Decades later, he slides into Black Ops, dies in a crossover, re-emerges as a mentor, then circles back to Waller's orbit. Each comeback pushes him closer to the front. Then, the Suicide Squad reframed him. Cena's deadpan gravity turned a side gag into a scene stealer, which led straight to a series that wrapped crude humor around governance. Season 1 ran like a workplace dramedy with Argus, Black Ops math, and cameos that acted like soft canon nudges toward a larger board. So the old status quo wasn't stable. It was scaffolding for tone, ethics, and meta-human policy. So what broke the scaffolding and forced a new rulebook? One line flipped the table. Season 2 will explain everything that is or is not canon.
No! Holy shit! Hey! Oh, we Spider-Man meme! Hey!
That isn't tease, it's a policy drop. You're being told the season isn't just story. It's the filter the new DCEU runs through. So how does a TV arc act like a continuity court? By turning the question into plot. Enter the quantum unfolding chamber, a device that makes canon literal. If characters can cross realities, someone can choose which rules follow them back. That's the trial, episode by episode. Meanwhile, Argus darkens. The memos get meaner, the ops get colder, and Rick Flag Sr. re-enters with a control-first creed. He treats metahumans as assets that need to be controlled, pushing exile as policy, not punishment. That pressure makes the chamber more than sci-fi, it's governance. Other franchises use multiverse tricks to branch possibilities. Gunn's stated aim is the opposite. Definitive guidance, not endless detours. He's even called out non-canon outliers with a blunt. They're not canon, I hate it. The message is clear. Prune, clarify, move.
Well, then those things automatically become canon. The truth is, almost all of Peacemaker is canon, with the exception of Justice League appearance.
Quick pause before we dive into the next Heroscope. If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We've got even deeper the Peacemaker theories. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's next. Can a show stay crass, heartfelt, and still write the rulebook for a universe? That's the dare. Season 2 leans into lore and still keeps the gut-level laughs. Go too hard on canon talk and you sand off character. Lean only on jokes and the weight slips. It tries both, sometimes in the same breath. Cena's blunt sincerity makes the mess land. He carries shame from past choices, clings to loyalty, and still makes the wrong call at the worst time. Those beats trace the gray lines. Economos breaks tension with weary humor, a reluctant hero doing the job against his better judgment. Harcourt pulls back, colder and more guarded, which gives the funny stuff edges. Adebayo's conviction holds the center when everyone else drifts. Critics note how the season raises stakes while keeping deadpan choreography and gallows humor. That mix sets the mood, irreverent but consequential. Even a throwaway gag, like a busted seafood bit, can grease a plot turn so the serious hit lands harder. The show plays like a bar fight run by a therapist. Messy feelings, clear outcomes. Chris Smith's fuel is guilt and the need to be let in. That's the motor under every choice.
Get off him! Get off him, please!
If Season 1 was about surviving his father, Season 2 asks what fills that vacuum and why that shapes canon. The answer is the 11th Street Kids. Adebayo slides into a surrogate sister lane, calling him up when he spirals and backing him when he owns the mess. Economos and Harcourt don't coddle him. They set boundaries and still show up. Out of that stress, his creed reforms into 3 rules: protect the found family, challenge corrupted authority, accept consequence. You can see the pivot in the "I believe in miracles" moment. I believe in miracles because of you. I saw an eagle hug a human. That's not sentiment for its own sake. It's a recommitment ceremony that turns private change into team policy. When he buys into community, the story lets institutions bend or clamp down harder when they won't. This is why metahumans get treated through a human lens first. The team's bond becomes the yardstick. Loyalty earns trust, deceit earns exposure, power gets audited. His backstory stops being flavor text. It becomes the moral OS the new DCEU runs in the background. The show looks bigger because its job is bigger. Season 2 has to signal a canon pivot on site, so it upgrades the canvas. Wider spaces, colder rooms, and tech that looks like procedure, not spectacle. How do you read new rules without an exposition dump? You let the frames do the talking. Set pieces orbit the quantum unfolding chamber. The device is sterile, glass, steel, clean lines, while what happens around it gets messy. Fights break out in clinical halls, and the contrast sells the theme: clean tech, dirty hands. Staging keeps choices in the open, long, unbroken takes that force you to sit with consequences. Costuming shifts too. The chrome stays, but as kit pares down, trade show shine replaced with field-worn function. The iconography tilts him from mascot to standard bearer. Less gag, more burden. Meanwhile, Argus. Scenes cool the palate to ice. Blues, grays, soft practicals, watchful, not celebratory. Cut to checkmate, and the edges cut back. Harsher light, tighter lenses, a tactical chill that codes power as scrutiny. That's visual hierarchy. You know who governs by how the camera treats them. The dance is back, bigger, and it does more than farm memes. It opens with a roll call that tells you scale, unity, and intent before a line is spoken. Why lead with a choreographed bit? Because the style itself is the thesis. If the opening is playful, can it still set stakes for a whole universe? Yes, when that play locks bodies into the same rhythm. The expanded ensemble choreography signals shared purpose. It brands the show as the culture setter, collective, offbeat, and dead serious when the beat drops. Coverage notes how the soundtrack threads through fights and heartbeats, stitching spectacle to characters so punches land with motive. The theme primes you, then the needle drops steer mood turns, joy into dread, bravado into doubt. So the style carries story weight. That's identity work, not garnish. Season 2 even doubles down late, with Foxy Shazam's "Oh Lord" capping a rally under a new banner. Lines like, "'Cause there is always a wrong to your right, and there will always be a war somewhere to fight," spell out the arc's moral gray and endless conflict without a lecture. So after the leaks and the fractures, who actually holds power now? The finale lays out a triangle that runs the board. Argus handles operations. Checkmate claims strategic oversight. Salvation becomes the off-book exile track for metahumans who can't be jailed or killed without fallout. That hardens policy fast. With Argus under review and Checkmate circling, the default shifts from manage the mission to manage the people. Where does Peacemaker land? He's valuable in the field, radioactive in a briefing, which means he's the test case for every new lever. Here's how the triangle squeezes. Argus compels tasks and limits disclosure. Checkmate audits tactics and can freeze assets, teams, or intel. Salvation removes you from the board altogether. No trial, no optics, just distance. Each tool looks reasonable on paper, but used in sequence they create a slow slide from safety to control. That's gray morality made structural. Oversight isn't villain-coded by default, but containment, exile, and surveillance tilt decisions until intent stops mattering and outcomes rule. The pressure will touch every DCU project because the framework travels. It's policy, not a subplot. The back half hits the gas. Names go public, careers crater, and the quantum chamber stops being theory. It turns into a lever. Meanwhile, Rick Flag Sr. draws a hard line that frames Peacemaker as useful in the field and dangerous in a meeting. Exile stops reading as punishment and starts reading as policy. Here's the turn. Flag Sr. strands Chris on Salvation, tagging it as a test and a message.
Business here. I thought a little due diligence is required. See what effect this dimension has on the human body. I want to thank you for volunteering.
I didn't volunteer for shit.
What?
He sells the plan upstairs, pitching a metahuman relocation track that breaks from Luther-era thinking. At the same time, the 11th Street kids split and reform under stress. Adebayo's blow to Waller burns trust. Harcourt loses her post and hardens. Economos keeps the lights on. They regroup under a new banner when it counts. Interdimensional beats widen the board. Salvation isn't just far away. It's a new node. The chamber links that node to Earth stakes, and talk of Metropolis rifts signals the film slate. Press reads it as seeding Superman-era fights. What counts as lawful action when realities bleed, and who defines it? You want the DCU to feel coherent, not chaotic. That's why this channel doesn't just recap. We map rules so you can predict the next move. Most videos tell you what happened. We track how it changes canon. We'll keep a live ledger on 3 fronts: canon rulings, governance shifts, and multiverse logic. When a show confirms what counts, we log it. When agencies like Checkmate gain power, or a tool like the Quantum Unfolding Chamber rewrites the board, we flag downstream effects. Think of it like watching a playoff bracket. You see where each game sends the winner next. Season 2 already set the standard. Almost everything from Season 1 is canon, but Season 2 will explain everything that is or is not canon. That's the rulebook being printed in real time, and will keep tally as new chapters drop across shows and films. We connect character beats to policy outcomes, so a confession, a demotion, or a new law actually means something you can track. If you want the next film to make sense on first viewing, this is your required class. The map is forming. Let's read it together. That's it for today, and make sure you subscribe to Heroscope.